let's go watch it in 2D. No, let's go watch it in 3D. But if we watch it in 3D, then is it worth the cost?
What is your mission?
To stop the war.
What war?
The war to end all wars. Weapons far deadlier than you can ever imagine.
The war can be ours.
Wherever you are in more danger than you think.
I cannot stand by while innocent lives are lost. Be careful, Diana.
Who is this woman?
She's my secretary, sir. She's a very good secretary.
It is our sacred duty to defend the world, and it's what I'm going to do.
Hello. This is Adolf Vega from 3D2D.com, and today I'm reviewing Wonder Woman, the 2017 feature-length movie. As always on 3D2D.com reviews, I'll talk about the 3D element first. So the best way to describe this 3D aspect of this movie is bookended, where toward the beginning of the movie, the action scenes are really enhanced by the 3D element. You'll see arrows fly out at the screen, and it just looks really great. Sometimes the 3D works well with the cinematography, and certain perspectives of the characters will be popping out of the screen, and have, others will be recessed into the background, and uses the different layers of 3D in a very nice, enjoyable, interesting visual presentation. Now, toward the middle, it kind of falls apart, or they don't really do much of anything with the 3D, unfortunately. Toward the end, there is some scenes of destruction that actually does look good in 3D, but toward the middle, there's not much going on there. So, a very strong start, good ending, and a very weak middle. So, overall, if you kind of put it all together, at the end of the day, you get a good 3D. If you watch it in 3D, I think you'll be happy with it, but it's not the best. It definitely could be a little bit better, and that's it for that. Now, onto the movie itself. So, Wonder Woman is an iconic DC Comics superheroine, and it's the first live-action full-length movie with her name. There was a previous animated movie that came out a few years ago, and it's been, a bunch of different TV shows on Wonder Woman, and so this is actually going to be the first top-tier, big-budget, female-driven superheroine movie to be released. Catwoman was not or not Catwoman, yeah, Catwoman, and Elektra don't count. So there's a lot of pressure to get this movie right, and I have to say, at the end of the day, I'm happy to report this movie rocks, and it's an incredible cinematic achievement. The story of Wonder Woman begins in the paradise island of Themyscira. You see a young Diana Prince yearning to train with the other women on the island. These scenes of the Themyscirians are very sincere and enchanting, and give off a wonderful cinematic warmth. It's so warm. It's just a nice way to start this story, and it's just like a warm hug for your mom. I love it. The movie starts so well, and it just gets things going with a man who suddenly shows up named Steve Trevor, and he crashes his plane near the island. So Wonder Woman, or Diana Prince, decides to go help Steve Trevor, and that's where the movie kind of sets to begin. She actually decides to go with Steve Trevor back to England, and she, for the first time ever, explores the outside world. Diana Prince, aka Wonder Woman, has never left Themyscira, so she's never met a man before Steve Trevor. So the entire outside world and man as general are new to her. She's read of them, but she's never been with them or seen the outside world. So this movie is kind of a fish out of water scene, and it actually really works. The movie is set during World War I at the turn of the 20th century, and this movie is more of a superhero origin movie and epic war movie put into one. So you get two for there. The movie itself is fairly self-contained, so if you have not seen Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice or know anything about the characters from the comic, you're free to watch this movie and you'll get it. You obviously will get more out of it if you do know about the character and you do have seen Batman vs. Superman, because there is some allusion to that movie here. The movie is a great introduction to this character and the setting and the scenario. Steve Trevor, played by Chris Pine, is delightful as ever, and he's an English spy. His performance reminded me a little bit of the performance of Captain Kirk in the recent Star Wars movies. He's witty, smart, likable, and just has great chemistry with Wonder Woman. Gal Gadot, who is reprising her role from Batman vs. Superman as Wonder Woman in this movie, the character is a great combination of smart, funny, powerful, and beautiful. She's a naive character by her nature. She's never been outside of the island, so a lot of things that happen in the outside world are strange and new to her. And her performance is incredibly enduring and simply a joy to watch on screen. The movie has many secondary characters to help Steve Trevor and Wonder Woman during this adventure. The crew is actually a wonderful addition to this movie and gives it complexity. I actually wish that some of the characters were given more screen time and more time to develop, but I do like their presence and I appreciated their inclusion. The movie has a few villains and I actually enjoyed them, how they work together. The villains are more or less they're there for not the same purpose as other villains in other movies. It's more coincidental that they exist. And I think that aspect is very interesting and new and feels different, which I do like. Now, the best aspect of this movie is the characters and the story, and I really feel like it delivers on both fronts. The setting of World War I is interesting and a smart decision by the filmmakers. The backdrop gives the actions of the characters more importance. It has a heft and consequences to what's going on, and it really feels distinct. Elements of war are showcased by the effects of war on the population and as humanity as a whole, not by showing gruesomeness, disgusting, exploding heads and gore like other movies in the genre. A lot of war movies are extremely violent, which I understand that is the nature of war, but it can get overbearing to watch the war movies because it's so dramatic and there's just so much blood and guts everywhere, and this movie avoids that. I mean, there's blood in here, obviously, but it's more about the people and what the war happens to them and how it affects their lives and the relationships to the outside world and the war. And it's how this is delivered in this movie is fascinating, and I really love it. The movie itself, Wonder Woman is not corrupted by the fog of war. She's a true hero in many senses, and she feels compassion and empathy for everyone throughout this movie. She's a pure soul in a disgusting, horrible war. I usually am not a fan of war movies just because how heavy it is. I can respect the genre. I just, they're not for me. But this one works because of the human element. The movie kept surprising me. The biggest surprise was the humor, which felt natural and perfectly hit all the right notes. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman makes this her own movie with her charming personality and is the best aspect of the movie. The comedic element is genuine and based on a woman's naivety, or her being naive, and outside the real world. You know, under the wrong hands, it could have been really cheesy or silly, but it works for this movie and is a nice contrast to the serious themes presented. The movie knows how to spend time on the little things and surprises the audience with a sincere, smart movie that's better made than most other superhero movies. The character of Wonder Woman grows in front of the camera, and the director knows how and when to slow down the movie to make touching scenes. The summer war movie this is a summer war movie that surprised me and has so much heart, and it's much better than I expected it to be. So many decisions in the story are really intense and smart and intelligently crafted to make a richer narrative. You really see a smart design in this movie, and why they did things is always the smarter decision than the more popular decision. You know, after I watched the movie, the more I thought about it, the more I liked it, and it just kind of grew on me, and I want to watch it again. And you know, the movie has some really amazing action scenes that have some fun slow motion, and they look very effective. The movie knows how to highlight action scenes and make the viewer appreciate what's going on screen. I've never seen a woman battle with such grace and strength as is in this movie. I found the action scenes thrilling and interesting to watch. I like how Wonder Woman uses her lasso of strength as a weapon. It's interesting. And how she battles World War I with gunfire with her traditional kind of arrows and her sword play. It just looks very different and distinct, and I really liked how it worked. The movie has some issues that hold it back from being perfect. Like I mentioned before, some of the characters needed to be more developed and given more screen time. The final battle seems a little bit too short and simple. Some story elements are not fully explained. But overall, the movie left me wanting more, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I just wish it was a little bit better to push it over the edge to be perfect. So just a little bit lacking. Overall, I love this movie, and it's a massive success in almost every level. The movie perfectly balances the serious tones of comedic elements and makes for a new and different way to showcase a war movie. Without a doubt in my mind, this is the best DC Comics superhero movie released since The Dark Knight. It really is that special and that well made. Movies both very entertaining and well expertly executed, and this almost got my perfect score, but it's not going to. It's a great movie, and I highly recommend it, so I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. So that's going to be it for this review of Wonder Woman. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.
How can a woman possibly fight in this?
Fight? We use our principles, although I am not opposed to engaging in a bit of fisticuffs should the occasion arise.
Alright, so that's going to wrap up this podcast.
Remember to like, comment, favorite, subscribe, love, whatever. Heart it, be something.
3D or 2D.com can be found on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, and SoundCloud. And if you want to send us email, our email address is email3dortwo@gmail.com. And thank you again for listening. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye, everyone.